Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to another studio gear guide chat here on YouTube. We're so excited to have you all here with us today. And as always, this is an open forum, so definitely throw in any questions along the way, anything that you want to know. We'll be posting all of our links about different pieces of gear and things that we're talking about in this stream following the stream in the description, so you can swing back and grab anything that you want to learn more about. But we're so excited that you're here, and we're so excited that it's the kickoff of Vlogmas. So if you are playing along with us, you can head on over into the Ecamm Live community. You'll find that on Facebook. If you search groups for Ecamm Live community, we are doing 31 days of daily videos. That can be live streams, that can be videos that you create and post into the group, or that can be videos that you create here on YouTube and then share those links into the group. But we're really excited to see what everyone creates, and we're really, really thrilled to be joining you in the world of Vlogmas. So hopefully you'll hang out with us there. Super excited to be hanging out today, not by myself. Usually Jill's here with me, but today we have a special guest joining remotely. We have Ken hanging out with us today. Hey, Ken, thanks so much for hanging out.
Hey, Katie, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to talk with you because I have seen all of the amazing videos that you've been posting into the community with all kinds of different setups and really cool things that you're creating both in your space where you are as well as out on the go on location, which has been like a huge topic for us over the last few weeks. So super excited to dive in. But before we kick off, it would be really great to just have you introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about who you are and how you got into video and how you started using Ecamm.
Absolutely. I'll try to give the shortest version possible, but I used to run large-scale events here in Japan, personal development conferences, business seminars, and things like that. I would hire some of the world's most famous speakers to come and speak to my Japanese audience. Awesome. And so every couple months we'd sell out, anywhere from 2,000 to 8,000 people. And, wow. We're talking, front row seats are $7,000, back row $700. And my job as the leader of the business was to pack the stadium out. If there was a 2,000 seat stadium, we'd sell 2,000 seats. If it was 7,000, we'd sell 7,000. And one thing I had to learn quickly was marketing. How can you market that event? And you're running multiple seven-figure events. And I realized that video was the way to go. Video gets the fastest response, gets people to get emotionally connected with the results they wanted, and pull their wallets out of their pockets. So I really dove deep into mastering video in order to get my business to succeed. Yeah. After a couple of years running this business, I realized that events business is really stressful, and I did not enjoy running the events. But what I did enjoy was the creative part of marketing it. So I actually I exited that business and I sold it off, but I just took the marketing division and I said, I'm going to go all in with just making video. And that's what I enjoy doing. And I started off with a client base of some of my speakers who I hired. Yeah. People who I can't mention because of NDAs, but people who you've definitely heard of. And that's how I got my leg up in high net worth, high influence clientele with a video marketing agency. And things snowballed from there. And I've been producing videos for, I guess you could classify them as entrepreneur celebrities or business owner celebrity personalities, and helping them on social media, helping them get their message clear, helping them to connect with their audience, and also showing them how that's going to impact their bottom line.
Wow. I mean, really great timing all the way through, right? I mean, if you had stayed in the event space with everything that has happened over the last couple of years, it would have been difficult to say the least. So I think it was awesome timing and really great space for you to be in this world of video, because I think there's just been so many changes with what's happened with the pandemic and people figuring out how important video can be to growing a business and to running a successful business, no matter what that space is. So
you think, awesome, Katie, for real?
Awesome story, great timing. I know, preaching to the choir here of everyone listening. They're all like, yeah, Katie, we're all on video. Just a quick shout out to everyone watching. We have G. Albert, who's always on. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. He's all in for Vlogmas, which is going to be great. We have Michael here. Hey, Michael. We have Doc. Doc wants to know what Jill broke. Jill didn't break anything. Jill's usually here with me in the studio on Wednesdays because our sons both do coding class together, but she is out today, so she'll be back in next week. We have Parker hanging out with us. We have Dina and Louise. And Sammy. So yeah, it's great to see everyone. Definitely throw your questions through for either myself or Ken. Really excited to just be hanging out and chatting about gear. So you jumped into the world of video, which definitely comes with a lot of setup and planning and thinking things through, especially if you're going to be working with like really A-list level celebrities and entrepreneurs and businesses. How do you go about building out a studio space that works really well for you, and how do you think through how to apply that or recommend different studio environments to celebrities and to, you know, those different kinds of clients who it's been interesting to see sort of where they've netted out in the middle of all of this. You've seen a lot of them, you know, really quickly going from like very simple setups, you know, to be able to run these really amazing shows and amazing productions to much more complicated setups as they've figured out, you know, how they can continue to look really good on camera. So yeah, I guess walk us through sort of how you got started and up and running and what you thought you needed for your space and the various kind of use cases you have, and then what your recommendations are as far as people who are getting started who just may not have anything at home because they're used to being in a space or they're used to having other people doing it for them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I first started with the agency model, I actually was doing something that was not compatible with COVID, which is we'd rent a luxury Airbnb and
Yep.
we'd book it out for about 2 weeks.
Sure.
I'd build it like a reality TV show set. And I know that celebrities, they want the Hollywood experience. They want to
Yeah.
show up and they want to see big lights, big cameras, a clapperboard, and a boom mic.
Yeah.
And if that's not there, then they feel like it's a low value production. So I learned very quickly how to give them the experience.
Yeah.
And we had a program called 52 and 2, where we'd shoot a year's worth of pillar content, 52 videos in 2 days.
Wow.
And that took a lot of planning and it was a lot of preparation. But we just churn people through.
Wow.
And people will come for 2 days at a time, and we rent the place. We get like 7 clients back to back, and then I'd go crash. Right? But so that model, like we'd go to LA and do that. We do it in New York. We do it in London. We'd go do it in Sydney, Australia, and we just had this touring video crew, and we do that. Obviously, COVID shut us down real quick.
Yeah.
I was, we lost like 80% of our revenue overnight.
Goodness.
Had to figure out something new really quickly.
Yeah.
So I bought a course and taught myself how to do webinars, where I could, instead of doing this for people, I'd educate people on how to do things. And the person who I learned from, I said, "What are you using to do all this switchy cool stuff?" And he says, "Well, there's this thing called Ecamm." I was like, "Great."
Cool stuff is my new favorite term. I love.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's probably pretty close to the exact words I said. So I bought it, I installed it. It was very intuitive. I figured it out really quickly, and then I noticed he had a Stream Deck, and I said, "That's cool. I need to get that too." And my home studio was just I'll just tell you, it wasn't overnight. It just evolved.
Yeah.
But I got into doing webinars. I think on my very first webinar, we just did organic marketing on that, and we did 10K, and I thought, this is not bad. Like, this actually works. And then I taught myself more and more about doing webinars, selling my own course on how to set up and shoot video.
Yeah.
And so now we've completely pivoted. So all of our clients are shooting videos at home for themselves.
Yep.
And our agency takes those in and edits them for social media.
Amazing.
And then we came to the issue of we need to make sure that their videos look sharp because
Exactly.
they have our brand on them, like we produce them.
Yep.
And then we started helping to help our clients doing something called the Zoom Room Makeover, because in this year, right, the window, what you're seeing, how I'm seeing you.
Yep.
This is the business suit of 2021 or from 2021.
Yep.
This, like, you don't show up
Yep.
to sign a 7-figure contract wearing, loafers and a wrinkled shirt. You iron your shirt, you tie your tie, for ladies you do your makeup and your blowout or whatever else you do, but you're gonna look your best.
Yeah.
But then I see people showing up, those same people on Zoom calls, and they're running these calls like from the nose hair zone is what I call it, where the laptop is way down and you're pretty much looking up their nose. you see their dirty laundry hanging around in the back. Like, it is nuts. And I thought, this is crazy. We got to educate people. This is your business suit. How are you going to nail this presentation? And if all things are equal as far as what you're offering and what the value for money is, then the person who looks better is going to get the deal. Yeah. Period. So that's what we did. And I do recommend Eka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super noticeable, and it's been really, I keep using the word interesting, but it has been interesting watching everyone kind of figure out the best way to use Zoom, and you do notice immediately a difference when someone shows up and has, you know, some even basic level lighting, a better camera, you know, their sound is improved. If they have any kind of, you know, graphics or animations or any presentation elements that are beyond just a PowerPoint or a keynote presentation, everyone's like, how are you doing that? How do you, there, it is incredibly eye-catching, and I hope most of you, if not all of you watching, have figured out by now that the benefits of being able to show up and looking your best are just huge, especially if you're going to be taking on clients. It was a smart way to go. So how do you, as you started kind of showing up better and you're working training your clients on how to create better video, what are some of the pro tips that you're giving them as they're getting started, or the kind of the basic requirements for them to get started? Is there like a particular you know, package of things that you require them to have? Are you kind of making adjustments and guidance as they go along and evolve their space? How are you approaching that?
Really good question. So there's two levels of this. You know, I love to educate people for free, and that is how I gain people's trust on social media.
Sure.
I created something I call the Zoom Room Makeover, which is literally, I went and researched what is the most popular desk size. And it's, by the way, 60 centimeters by 160 centimeters.
Yeah.
And then I made a template for exactly what lights need to be on that desk, where the camera should be, how to measure the distance from your nose to the camera.
Smart.
I diagrammed it all out so that you could get the same look I've got. And then, you know, people get that for free. And then afterwards I say, would you like to work with one of the experts on my team to actually walk you through this? We're going to create a 3D model of your room. Yep. And we're going to simulate what it's going to look like through the lens, yep, with different colored walls, different colored lights, and things like that. And we do this in 2 consulting sessions, plus a lot of research and actually getting people shopping lists that they can buy locally. Sure. So we do it with 2 consultations. And a lot of people think it's really complicated, but when you have an expert walk you through it, it's really, really quite easy. And we always recommend Ecamm as the first choice. Now, if for some reason, because of compatibility, sure, it doesn't work, then we point them in another direction. But it really is the fastest way to get up and running. And it's also kind of it's harder than others to mess up and get wrong. There's not too many buttons.
I feel like it's easy enough that anyone can get up and running, but complicated enough that you could do just about anything you need to with it.
You can go as deep as you want.
Yeah.
or you could just dabble and stay safe if you like.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny to me how similar your approach is to. I think having a lot of these kinds of conversations, especially leading into the holiday season, as more people are thinking through like what upgrades they might want to make to their space, you know, kind of how to take it to the next level for next year, and the amount of planning that goes into a space, and also like the more that you can really think through how to sketch it out and be able to either visually show yourself if you're trying to plan out your space for yourself, or if you're working with clients, show a client visually what that space can look like and walk them through the process. It just makes it so much easier to get that end result that you or your client or both of you are looking for. Junaid was saying the same thing when I spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, that he actually scopes out the entire plan, draws it all out, sketches it all out, and does a similar process to you, where he's really thinking through the entire studio space and what are those elements and where do they need to be in order to get that end result. And I think that's just so much of a better approach than what our kind of gut reaction is. I think people who, especially in the Ecamm,
our gut reaction is to go to Amazon and buy everything. Yeah, exactly. And when it shows up, and this is typical for a lot of my clients, like I have so much gear I haven't even opened the boxes, or I open the boxes and then it's still there from 2 months ago.
Yeah.
It's what they get tangled in the tech. But you know, in the end,
perfect.
It's okay. At least you're getting started, right? The equipment is in your house.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Tangled in the Tech is such a great, great catchphrase for it. It's really, really easy to just be like, oh, I got a good deal on that, or I knew I needed that, and so I've ordered all of these things, and then they show up, and it does take a little bit of time to remind yourself what is the reason that you bought that piece of gear, what do you actually want to accomplish with it, and then you're going to spend time having to learn how to use that new tool, whether it's a camera or a Rodecaster Pro or a new microphone. It's not just going to be like, open the package, plug it in, and you're all set and it's brilliant. It's going to take some time to get the settings right, to get everything looking, in the exact place, which is why having like a physical sketch or design or, plan that you can reference and take a look at to know exactly where it should be, in proximity to where you're sitting or where you want it in your space is just really huge. Super, super smart. It looks like we have a question coming in from Brother Phil, which is great. So he wants to know about whether or not you're including sporting events as an on-location setup. So this audience has been thinking a lot about kind of getting out of the studio space as we're entering 2022 and thinking through, how do you take all of the gear that you have on location with you? Do you need entirely new gear? I know that you're not always just in your physical space. You're often kind of outside or on the go or in different spaces. Do you have completely different setups for all of that? Or is there an overlap? How are you thinking through making sure that you obtain that quality result when you're not in your, in your safe space, in your studio space?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, everything I do is centered around the celebrity business owner, entrepreneur who wants to promote their own brand.
Yep.
And I understand if you're going to a sporting event, then you are producing for somebody else for the event.
Yep.
So I don't actually do anything specific for that, but what I have created is something I call the GoBox Studio, and I created it just for some of my my clients. Actually, a client asked me, says, I'm about to go on a 4th of July vacation. This was back in July, obviously. Yeah. And he says, I want to take this studio that you helped me do and take it on the road with me. And what we have, a wireless microphone. We've got 2 cameras. We've got 2 lights and an iPad that he always likes to mix and draw things with, like I showed him. Yeah. And I thought, that's a lot to carry with you. And this guy he's not a techie guy. Yeah. So I thought this is not a good idea, And he says, no, please. And it needs to be carry-on size so that it doesn't get damaged when we check in. And I'm like, you've got to be nuts. But that actually inspired me to just draw some sketches, send it to an engineer, and he put everything into a Pelican case. You know what a Pelican case is? One of those really tough production
durable,
things.
Knock it around.
Super durable.
Travel case,
Yep. And we figured out a way to fit everything into there so that when he rocks up to either his hotel room or outdoors, he's got the 2 lights, he's got the 2 cameras, he's got the wireless microphones, iPad, everything plugs in with 1 cable to the laptop, and he's up and running. And I thought, okay, great. He's happy with it. But then he tweets about it, and 55,000 people reply, and they're just like, where do I get this? I want it.
How are you doing that?
That's when I realized there might be something to this. And I've actually started Simon Stage 2 right now, which is just creating it for my one-on-one clients. But beyond that, I am considering taking it public. Like, anybody can order these. And it's going to be a switching system, a multi-camera light system. But it's really focused around you as the performer. Yeah. Not so much as switching for sports events or live events kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can imagine it can work for that. Yeah. It just, the lights are pointed at you, right? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no. And Brother Phil, I don't know if you saw, I think it was last week. So Jill and I have been doing a bunch of different kind of live from the test studio streams, and she has done a bunch of sporting events. So I'll drop the link in following this so you can grab some of her pro tips there. It's probably really similar actually to Ken what you were saying, but she has a few additional like a GoPro camera that she keeps that can catch kind of some of those like behind the net shots, or like additional camera angles that you might want to be able to switch over to if you're doing something like a sporting match, and additional kind of back channels that you might want to set up for things like being able to get the scores so that you can update as you're going along with who just scored when and how, to be able to add some of those things in for a sporting match. But yeah, I think thinking through portability and weight and making sure that all of those items stay safe during travel, and especially thinking through like where you're going to be on the other side. You know, if you're catching just video that you're going to, you know, edit and produce and release later, then just having that equipment is great, and being able to kind of getting up and running. If you're doing a live stream from where you're going, then you also have all of the additional things you need to consider, like what is the internet connectivity going to be like? You know, what is the sound going to be like? Are you outside? Do you need, you know, do you need a different level or type of microphone because you're going to have wind or rain or people everywhere? So some of those thoughts that need to go into that as well, depending on what your use case is.
I think we're all hoping for Elon Musk's Starlink to go online really soon, right?
Tons and tons of internet everywhere. That's definitely our goal. I love it. Well, I'm just going through the questions as well, making sure I'm sensitive to ones that are, it looks like Gretchen is here and recovering. We hope that you have your leg up and some hot tea in hand. Doc wants to know if you're still in Japan and where in Japan you are.
Hey Doc, good to hear from you. I'm just outside Tokyo. I usually just introduce myself as I'm in Tokyo. I'm just a little bit outside because nobody's heard of Saitama, which is where I live. I'm about 30 minutes from central Tokyo, and it's called Saitama. You just mentioned Edogawa and Kanagawa. I've lived in both places. My actual company office used to be in Edogawa, that you just mentioned, and Kanagawa is the last house I used to live in, is where I lived. So it's all really close to Tokyo. It's a good place.
So jealous. I miss traveling. Hope to get back out into the world soon. G. Albert has a question. He wants to know if you incorporate sideline chats like this in your business conversations, or do you bring a conference call into the mix? You sure you're flexible, but how does that process look for you?
So most of the setups I do for my clients is really just about going live on social media. And what I love about Ecamm is it records the video files. So we actually don't do tons of interaction, and we have sign language that we work out with our clients to let them know, like if they just said something that they drop some fire and they know it's great, then they'll give us a signal with their hand, right? Or like it'll be something a little bit discreet, but our editors know what to look for. You know, just how you have the baseball pitchers and catchers, we do that with our clients too, right? But we don't have tons of engagement with the clients, and if we do, then we're going to cut that out inside the edit that's going to go to YouTube, for example. But if the client wants that to stay in, then they'll give us a hand signal right after that chat when they engage. So usually we want the video to be as pristine as possible and have no overlays, no countdown timers, nothing like that, because we want to repurpose this into every conceivable format, and that's just going to get in our way.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I think a lot of us are, you know, in the space where we're doing live streams fairly often. It's a completely sort of different feeling than what you're trying to accomplish there, where you're really looking to do a lot of editing on the other side and being able to use that video in a lot of different ways. In that case, yeah, absolutely, you wouldn't want any of this stuff around it. And I think that's a great pro tip. I think back in the day, a couple of years ago, I was talking with Diane.
Back in the day,
and
she gave, is that 80s?
yeah. No, back in the day, 2 years ago, Miss Diana was giving a similar point, that like really thinking through if you're going to do video editing on like where those points are, and giving those visual cues, especially, you know, if you're sending it to another company or you're doing it yourself, to be able to save you a lot of time. I think sometimes we don't think about that when we're planning content out. So that's a really great piece of advice, whether you're giving it to a client or you're just trying to be able to repurpose your videos later. Subtle visual cues where you can quickly scroll through the video and be like, yep, that's the spot where, you know, I go into that different topic, or that's the spot that, you know, cutting the rest of that off from the beginning is going to make that video editing process a lot easier, especially for many of us who are used to live streaming and don't do a ton of video editing. Saving yourself a lot of time there. That's a great pro tip.
No, my client base, they're business owners, right? So I understand that, like, why 52 and 2, my previous program, was so popular because they just spend 2 days in the studio and they don't have to shoot video for the rest of the year.
Exactly.
Now it's more like once a month and they batch 4 bits out. But their priority is to get in, get it done, and get out as quickly as possible so they could go back to running their business.
Yeah.
And it's just a different set than people like you or me who need to stay on social media to remain relevant. Otherwise, you know, people forget about us real quick. And we produce a lot more live content.
Yeah. Again, it just all really goes back to like actually spending the time to put together a detailed plan, have your plan somewhere visual that you can reference through, throughout the process, that you remember what you are creating, why you're creating it, and what you're going to use it for down the line to save yourself all of that time. There's nothing worse than being like, I got this. I'm just gonna, just gonna wing it. We're gonna go for it, and then realizing that it may be great in the moment, but if you can't actually use it to repurpose, or if you're not hitting your goal on the other side, then it wasn't worth your time, especially, as you said, for those who are, also trying to do a million and one other things, and video production or live streaming isn't the like main focus of what they're trying to accomplish in the day. Doc is saying here that, if you trust your guest, ask them to make a QuickTime movie recording of their side and send it to you after you know that you're going to repurpose. It's easy and painless. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can get a bunch of you can have them do a bunch of different kind of test shots, and then you can be able to run things that way for sure.
Yep. A while ago, inside of the Ecamm Facebook community, I put up a tutorial on how I get all 4 angles at once.
Yeah.
And that's how I shoot it with my clients. I have them shoot it like that. They give us 4 angles, and that includes, if there's a slide deck or, overhead shot or whatever, and we edit from there. And I figure that out specifically for my clients, especially because there's going to be a lot of cutting. You really want at least 2 angles so that those cuts become invisible.
Yeah. It's such a different space than I live in on a regular basis. So it's interesting to hear that you really have to think about all of that going in, because the last thing that you're going to want to have to do is go back and ask them to do something again or to make a change later. So I'm sure that having all those examples really goes a long way, and being able to almost get them to capture more than what you're going to need, but all of the different kinds of opportunities for you to be able to take that video in whatever way that you want to take it. So how many videos are you repurposing and creating for your clients from one longer video that they're sending to you? How are you chopping it up and repurposing it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We talk to our clients. It's consultative. What's their priority? Is it quantity or speed? If quantity is their priority, they give us one video, and we'll get 20 creatives out of that. And that's why it's called the 20X program. Mm-hmm. But if someone sends us a 2-hour video and they want that, in 20 creatives versions, that's not going to get turned around very quickly. If some people really want speed, we'll say, hey, what platforms are you seeing success on? Yeah. What formats have you seen success on? Let's zero in on that and get them to you as fast as possible. So we can go up to 20, and some people just want as little as 2 or 3, mm-hmm. where they want to focus on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube, for example, and maybe one ad that's going to get tested on either YouTube or Facebook. So we'll create that package for them, and every time they send us a video, they know this is what they're going to get when it comes out the other end. And it's just this repetitive process. And generally, we shoot to get that turned around in a week. The difference between us and some other agencies is we're not a software algorithm where you spit video file at it, and it's just gonna paste on a title that you type in and try to understand. The AI is gonna interpret your words and put that below. It's not that. We actually have real editors, and we produce real video. So there is roughly a 1 week turnaround time, and we get that turned around.
Wow, that's awesome. How big is your team?
Right now we're 10 people, and we're just about to bring on an 11th. So we're all over the place. As far as all over the place geographically, not in our brains.
We're a mess.
I wanted to make sure that we got that clear.
I'm sure that makes it helpful to have people kind of all over the world, because then you have sort of everyone working at all given hours of the day to be able to accomplish things is huge, especially if you have like really high level clients that you need to be able to hit really aggressive goals for, I'm sure. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through the questions here. It looks like Michael's saying he is doing a live event tomorrow. Yeah, outdoors. Yes, please post that into the Facebook group. We're always interested to see what works, and hopefully it goes really smoothly. You can definitely post that. Do me a favor, everyone that is watching that is participating in either Vlogmas or you want to share anything into the community, just make sure you put a really detailed description so we don't miss important things. So there's lots of stuff going into that group, and we always want to make sure that we see content is easy to find, and people who are using that search bar are able to find what your video is about. So yeah, it would be excited to see that. I'm so amazed at the fact that maybe this makes me sound horrible, but I feel like it would be difficult if you have never kind of been in your own studio space. Like if I'm a celebrity, I've always gone into a set, into a studio, had a whole team of people to make me look fantastic, had a team of people to like tell me what to do, where to stand, where to sit, what to turn on, how to do all of that stuff. So does it take a while? You said that it was only like a couple of initial kind of consultations and setups to get them up and running. Is there like a window of time where you're getting videos back and you're like, this could be a little bit better, or are they pretty quick to kind of get up and comfortable with it?
So we've got all walks of life with people coming in. We've got MDs, we've got lawyers, and then we've got the celebrities. So if someone has, we work with their budget, what they've got, right? Yeah. I have somebody who's running a $400 million business. It's a video streaming service actually. Awesome. And when I brought him on, he was like, okay, great, I know what I need to do. Could you find me people to do it for me? So I just Googled local video technician and local handyman. Yep. I explained the plan, and they charged like probably $1,000 a day plus material, and they got it all done in a couple hours.
That's awesome. That's good for people to hear.
And then
that's a question that we get a lot. It's like,
so if you have more time than money, then we'll walk you through how to do it. If you have more money than time, then we'll show you how to hire people to do that. Yep. So there's a solution for everybody.
True. Yep. That's still super impressive. I feel like that's one of the hardest things about getting started is like it's not necessarily like almost the fear of being on camera as much as the fear of looking bad, right? So it's like the initial kind of setting everything up and making sure that you know what everything is going to look like so that you don't look stupid. You never want to look stupid in front of everyone else. So I think that's pretty impressive. You must have really solid, very clear visuals for people if they have that level of confidence that they can get up and running that quickly, even with additional help is great because it is a really different vibe than having a team to help you or having, a bunch of people that are in holding the, it's different speaking to a cameraman behind a camera and kind of having someone to bounce that off of versus just staring into a camera is a different feeling.
A lot of my higher end clients do still bring on a crew every time. They have it scheduled and they know the crew's going to show up from this hour to this hour and someone else has already written the content for them. Someone else is catering their food. Someone's doing their makeup. Then they're on for 5 minutes and they're out of there and the videos come to us looking really good. So, there's all walks of life. But you brought up something really interesting there. And I just forgot what it was because I went off the track.
That's fine. This is a safe space. We're allowed to go off the track. I was saying the difference between having like someone talking to a person or having other people there that you can kind of like bounce the energy off of versus talking just to a camera. Yeah. I think that's, trying to think if there's anything else.
Yeah, so absolutely. And I think what I was about to say with that is a lot of times people do better when they're not looking at the camera. When they have someone just off camera like this and you do interview style. And it just helps pull more of the story out of them instead of them getting stuck in their head. We get them out of the head right into their gut where they can perform at a much deeper level.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my camera now and I'm like, you know what, it might be
I remember what I was going to say now. I remembered.
Go ahead.
So we did have some situations where people were obviously unprepared. And so we have 3 simple questions we ask before anyone even consider taking them on as a client. Number 1 is where's your camera confidence on a scale of 1 to 10? Number 1 is never want to do it, never done it before, and level 10 would be I'm freaking Lady Gaga, right? So and if they're like a 7 or below, then we're not going to work with them because I can't jump through the screen and pump up their confidence for them, right? So that's the first question, right? They got to already be confident in front of the camera because they're going to be at home in their studios. And number 2 is, do you have team? We send people a lot of media, and we find that if it's a solopreneur, they get overwhelmed with the amount of media we send them, and it doesn't get put on social media. After a couple months, they become dissatisfied with the results they're getting because they can't follow through on the marketing bit of things. And we have all the manuals for how to market yourself, how to grow your brand, how to convert views into leads and leads into sales. We train on all that, right? And then the third thing we ask is, where's your revenue at? And for people who are doing less than $30,000 a month, I don't think it's a good investment. I wouldn't invest in me with the amount that we charge for what we do. But if it's more than 30, then it might make sense to look into that. So we ask them 3 simple questions, and if people tick off all 3 and they still want to work with us, we'll have a sales conversation about what that looks like. So we've been doing this long enough that we know what's not a good fit for both us and for our clients.
Yeah, I think that's really, really smart, because I think you could definitely waste a lot of time where you're frustrated, the client's frustrated, it's not working, it's just creating a really bad experience all the way around, and really because the expectation is off. If they're expecting that you're going to come in and really be able to hold their hand and help them be better on camera, that's a different coach. There are lots of coaches out there that are, that's what they do is help people get better on camera. But that's not what you do. So it's great that you're able to really set that expectation clearly, because that's I think the cause of a lot of bad experiences all around is just a misunderstanding of what the end result is going to be, right? The expectations can
they see a video that we produced for somebody else who's been doing this for years, and then they wonder why theirs doesn't look the same. And I'm pulling I've hit that wall a couple times, and I realize I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, I think it happens across industry. I mean, everything is so visual right now, especially with social media, that you can look at someone's videos and you could have them give you a detailed list of every single thing that they're using, what software they're using, what gear they have, exactly what the setup is. You could buy all of those things and set everything up, and you are not going to be them. You may not even look the same in your studio space, even though you have all of the exact same things, because a lot of it is like training, confidence, what the content is, what your goals are. All of those things are significantly more important than what a studio.
And 500 settings in your camera.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's settings upon settings upon settings, and it all takes time. And what you said at the very beginning when we were chatting is that it is an evolution. A studio space is an evolution, and business is an evolution. And I think so much of the time, especially with the pressure of a pandemic sitting here, it's easy for us to kind of forget that and say like, no, but I just need to be looking my best now. We need to make this quick pivot and be up and running, and I need for this to work. But I would say if you're just starting off, or if you're kind of sitting here and saying like, my space doesn't look like that, or, I'm not quite at that level yet, it's really important to remember that you'll get there if you have a plan and you have, eyes on the prize and a goal. But you need to give yourself a little bit of patience to work your way up to it, because it's those moments that you're going to find where, what your personality is like, what you want to be able to evoke on camera, what that's going to look like, which will be better in the long run for you.
Absolutely. But, if speed is a priority and you have more money than time, then absolutely go for it.
Hire Ken.
It's just always if you have more money than time, or if you have more time than money, just you know where you're at if you're a business owner, and you can go both ways.
Yeah, I love it. Duck is saying this is why ESPN and 60 Minutes do side face interviews. Yeah, absolutely. There are reasons why. I mean, many of us.
I'm looking at you, right? Am I looking at you? Is this the right way?
This way?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. No, but there's a reason why. I mean, many of us sat and watched tons of TV and movies before live streaming was ever a thing. And we may not have been in that world and understand all of the nuances of why things look the way they do, but it's 100% applicable in live streaming and video production now. All of those tips and tricks that people went through school for and had years of experience to learn are things that we're all going to have patience and learn as we go, for sure. Lots of senior moment jokes.
Senior moment, wow.
Camera fear is a learn. I totally agree, Dak. I think it is a learned and copied response. I think people definitely hear. To some extent, you and I disagree a little bit on this, because I do think it's a learned response, and I think it's an easy cop out. But I do also think that many of us who, when we're just getting started, it's a less of a camera fear and more of a perfectionism. Don't want to look bad on camera. We want to be able to put our best foot forward. Many of us have lots of things riding on it. So,
I'll tell you something though. I've shot, thousands of hours of video. I've directed videos. I've produced, stuff that went national in the US. And the first time I got in front of the camera, I was scared. You know, there was 100 people in the room. I was running something on Zoom, and I just paid a bunch of money to upgrade my account so I could do a webinar, and people could see my face, and I was sweating so much that when I was drawing on my pad, there was wet marks on the paper. It was, and then I asked my wife to support by listening in, and she said, "You're talking so fast that nobody could understand a word." I don't know how or why anybody bought anything. But I was so nervous. It was crazy, and I was touching my face all the time and scratching my everything. But if you don't take that plunge, then you'll never get to the flow. And the flow is where you can feel the audience even though they're not physically there.
Yep.
And you can match and kind of control the tempo of the performance, the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's so incredibly true. Before I started at this job, and I've said this a ton of times on my video, but I had to do like simple internal training videos for my team who I knew super well and was not afraid of. And I was fine, totally fine, had lines memorized. And the second that the camera went on, I was just like, would start talking and then would feel myself about to say the wrong thing and would just like turn it. It was like 2 days of straight just feeling terrible about myself and not able to capture a 3-minute super easy video that I knew inside and out if you just came up and spoke with me. So there is sort of like a mindset that you have to get by, and the kind of nerves and the accepting that it may not be perfect the first time that you do it, but it has value. You have value to bring. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's
hey Katie, we're going to talk a bit more about tech and stuff. I think that you wanted to know what gear I was using.
Yeah, I do,
that, right?
and I know we're at the sorry, we let things get a little bit off track, but yeah, no, definitely let's
just lost your audio.
Oh,
you're back.
Okay, good.
That was me, probably.
Yeah, let's talk. We have about 15 minutes here left. Let's chat a little bit about what's in your space and how that differs from what is in like a on location setup that you might have.
Absolutely. One of the things that has been a game changer for me is the ability to bring my iPad, into the conversation every time, and that was a mistake right there.
No, you're good.
But just the ability to interact and use a drawing medium. And when I'm on calls with my clients, for example, then I'll always just hop my face into the corner and then just be able to, I'm a very visual guy, so everything I'm going to do is going to be based on things I'm drawing, right? And it just brings so much more clarity to everything I'm saying or doing. So this, for me, just having an iPad that I can wirelessly connect and illustrate points with,
absolutely,
it's like my right arm. And I think a lot of people think it's just like this extra luxury, but having used it for a while, it makes a huge difference. Now, one of the other things, I'm going to switch here to my wide angle, and the reason I brought on this wide angle camera is not because I needed it. It's because I have a truckload of probably a couple $1 million of equipment that's sitting in the shelf since I stopped traveling. So I just want to make this clear. This is a 3-foot slider, and it's motorized and it's computerized.
Yep.
But the reason I don't recommend you go out and buy this for your home studio. But I had it lying around, so I thought, well, why not? And it's literally a closet that it's sitting in, and I turn it on. But it really helps in the edit to be able to have 2 angles. You can just cut between them. And I guess you could kind of see right here, I've got 2 lights. This is just, I think the brand is Viltrox or something. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why I'm showing you the lights here is because in Japan, and I don't know about everybody else, but if you have a home studio, I think that floor space is a premium, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be tripping over tripods. So with my setup and with all my client setup, I have a no tripod policy. If there's anything that you're going to set up, then it's got to be clamped to your desk. And if you're going to use a standing desk, the advantage is that if you're sitting or standing, the lights and the cameras will always be at the exact right level.
Yep.
So again, the floor space, if it's a home studio, is a premium. You don't want to be tripping over stuff. There's no cables on the floor. Everything is clamped to the desk. So that's the other thing. Now, the third thing that you might notice is I'm always looking right at the camera.
Yep.
I've got a teleprompter, and I extend my screen so that my Zoom window, or right now, this browser window, is just sitting behind the mirror, and I can look straight into the camera at the same time that I'm also looking at the screen as if it's a mirror. So you always know if you're properly framed, if your hands, like if you're gesturing with your hands, if they're in the frame and things like that. So when it comes to home studio setup, it's, you know, those main things. Keep everything clamped to the desk to save on floor space, and you can sit or stand if it's an electric lift. Get another angle. It doesn't have to be moving. And right now I've got a lav mic on, and that's just a wireless going into. I think it's plugged into one of my cameras. And whenever I'm switching between angles, then I want to have the lav mic because I want to have that mobility.
Yep.
But if I am doing like a kind of a podcaster type of position, then I've got this Yeti mic, which just comes out. It's a blue Yeti, nothing fancy, single USB.
Yep.
And that's if I'm facing my side camera.
Yeah, but
so
look how quickly
again,
and easily
just
that
options.
out. Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything's got to be quick and easy. Otherwise, I spend enough time preparing so I don't have to. No, I spend enough time designing so I don't have to prepare each time. That's my philosophy around it.
Yep.
So
it's a great.
That's pretty much it. And everything's running off of a Mac Mini M1, and it's really buttery smooth.
It's awesome, and I love that you brought in the virtual whiteboard, because I think that's been one of the coolest things that's been a trend over the last couple of years, and it can go a really long way, and it's really eye-catching, especially for people who maybe are not YouTubers or watching YouTube on a regular basis. Like if you're in a Zoom call, it makes it feel really dynamic and really engaging, like you're actually in person with each other. So yeah, I think it's been a really cool technique and something that's so easy to do. It feels like
earlier this year when I started inside of Ecamm, I started drawing on the screen, and then everybody started asking me how I do that, and I actually picked up like 10 clients. People are just like, how do you do that? I said, let me explain that to you. And they're like, what else do you do? And you know, so it's just this is what I keep trying to tell my clients. When you educate for free, then people want to know what else you do, and there's a good chance they want to work with you.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I got low. Hang on. Am I sliding back from where I am? I'm on a roller chair. I've not planned out my chair situation. It looks like G. Albert is asking, Ken, are you using NDI or using the new Ecamm instance of NDI and the new Ecamm functionality? Yeah, we just added in the last version. You probably know, so go ahead.
No, I'm not using NDI. I'm just plugging straight in with USB and using CamLinks. I've used a lot of HDMI capture devices. CamLink is really the best. The image quality, when you're editing, you notice it. Maybe if you're looking at a blurry live stream, you won't notice. But because we edit video, we notice a huge difference. And we got to stick with Ecamm with our clients.
Yeah.
I mean, not Ecamm, CamLink. And Ecamm.
And Ecamm. Yeah, CamLinks are fantastic, and they do. The difference is definitely there. I mean, yeah, for live streaming, for sure, you're fine just plugging in with it. If you have a better camera, you plug in with a USB, it's fine. But if you're looking to go with some of the higher quality, CamLinks are really reliable. So for sure. I love. We have another fan of the MV7. I like the Shure MV7 because I can use it in a couple of different ways, which I've joked that I forgot when I initially bought them. But this is just plugged in by USB, but you can also plug it in by XLR, so that we can have multiple ones in the same space without getting that echo. So that's makes them really handy. Plus, we're just big fans of Shure. Laura from Shure is often on the chat with us answering tons of questions. They're just great mics all the way around, really reliable. Awesome. Well, I think we're almost at the end of our time. I know that both you and I have a hard stop at 5 my time. No idea what time it is there for you.
7 a.m. my time.
You are up super early, and I really appreciate the time. I'm going to probably follow up afterwards and just grab a couple of links and additional information from you so we can drop that into the description. Obviously, everyone watching live or on replay, if you leave any additional questions after we log off, we will circle back and get answers to those. Super appreciate everyone showing up and hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Ken, for being here with us today. I learned
Thanks,
a lot.
Katie. So it was my pleasure.
Yeah, super helpful. And thank you so much for using Ecamm and for getting it out in front of so many different clients. Congratulations on a successful business.
Thank you for that, too.
All right, everyone. We will see you again next time, and hopefully you'll be hanging out with us in the community for Vlogmas. You can find us at Ecamm Live Community on Facebook. You can find us right here on YouTube for lots of amazing content. Later this week, Doc is doing his live demo Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern here on YouTube, and lots of other trainings and shows in between. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.